Welcome everyone to the Side Draft Podcast. We're here to review the Cup Series race from Dover, and Miles the Monster was tamed by Chase Elliott. Managed to pull out an amazing strategy at the end, hold off Denny Hamlin, and got his second career win.
Yes, he had to get some redemption from last time he was here, and he was leading and ended up at a final restart one time, and then I guess he learned his lesson from those restarts.
Yeah, he looked in his mirror and said, "Kyle Busch is not there, thank the Lord," and he went on to win. But Kyle Busch, though, he would win the pole by rain. He blessed the rains down in Dover, I guess, and won qualifying. Did a great rain dance, and well, it wouldn't necessarily rain, it was kind of like a mist, so it's kind of annoying that qualifying got canceled for just a little bit of mist, but
yeah, just enough to mess the track up and cancel everything. So.
Yeah, especially with it being concrete, it doesn't really work out too well, but Kyle Busch would win the pole because of the owner points, so Harvick would start outside pole. And it looked to be, at the start of the race, Larson and Harvick would be the cars to beat. That would be half true. Larson didn't show a lot of speed off at the start, which really surprised me.
Yeah, he was really very fast in practice, and I mean, he was like a mile or two faster than anybody else.
And before the race would start, we saw Jimmy Johnson, who gave Martin Truex 12 girly bikes before the race. He would not compete. Well, he competed, but he had to go to the garage and ended up being 10 to 15 laps down at the start of the race.
It's very surprising, just before the race started, he's like, "Hey guys, I got an issue here," and I had to come in the garage and fix it. So.
Not something you want to do. You wanted to go there after the heartbreak of the Roval. You wanted to go there and put on a show and get a win, but that wasn't going to happen today. So stage one at the very beginning, it'd be Harvick versus Kyle Busch versus Brad Keselowski, and we had a nice battle for a few laps.
Yeah, because Brad, I want to show he was here to play in the playoffs, and he showed some strength today.
And Martin Truex falling back just a little bit on that start, fell back to somewhere around 10th, so that wasn't necessarily something we've seen out of Truex at Dover, one of his 7 home tracks, and he would not be a contender early on, and then Harvick would cruise right on around Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch said, "Hey, I'm not good right now, go by," and Harvick would...
He just put on cruise control more than that.
Harvick just went on the Sunday drive, and Brad Keselowski would then battle his arch nemesis Kyle Busch for the second place. Batman v Superman. Here we go. Then Kyle Larson, as we said, he was struggling. No one knew where the sudden like speed where it went, and
yeah, he would go back like 12th. 13th, something like that.
Yeah, he started 10th, dropped back to 13th, and I think it's really just because of the conditions they practice in. And, in practice they had like cooler weather. It was kind of misting and cloud overhead, so it really wasn't a true prediction of how the race was going to go, but I didn't expect it to be that much of a dramatic change.
You really think you have some kind of adjustment in the car, or you can, from cloudy day to sunny day, you can have a little bit of adjustment going there.
Pit stops would be underway with 50 to go. Jimmy Johnson would drive through too many pit stalls, and Kevin Harvick would win stage 1. And for Jimmy, that was not something he wanted to see. I know he's pretty much already out of the race, but you just don't want to dig more of a hole after what you've done at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, sometimes when you start the day off bad, it just goes worse from there. And sometimes when you get that far back, it's hard to really make a comeback.
So Joey Logano would lead off pit road. with Harvick in second. Penalty for Chase Elliott, uncontrolled tire. That would be an exciting, to watch him race through the field, get back up there. And then
yeah, he was in the top 5.
Top 5, pretty much all of stage 1. And Harvick would make quick work of Logano on that restart, and he would put on cruise control once again. Pit stops with 50 to go. Then we would see Harvick versus Bowyer versus some lap cars out there. But ultimately, Harvick would win stage 2 in dominating fashion. So it seemed to be like a Harvick versus Bowyer kind of day, in which Stewart-Haas was really good at the beginning of the race. And stage 3, after having some issues off pit road earlier, Harvick would finally get the lead off the pit road. But another horrible stop for another Big 3 member, Kyle Busch. He had something wrong with the tire. He had like some tire issues at stage 2, and he had to figure out what's wrong with the track bar or something like that.
It says the monitor went, just blank on his dash, and he didn't have to. The track bar wasn't even going up or down, and had all kinds of issues with that thing.
We had a guy just jump into the car, just hop in it. It's like, and then went to work on the car. So you gotta be 100% perfect on the pit crew, even when you're jumping in the car. Just think how horrible it would have been if you would have just slipped and fell on top of the roof. So
yeah.
Nice ninja moves by Kyle Busch's pit crew.
Yeah, they're like Bo and Luke Duke, just slide up, jump in the car and go to work.
All right, so Larson would also be speeding on pit road that time. Again, it's kind of like the Jimmy Johnson thing. You've already dug a hole for yourself. He's in the playoffs though, so that's a much more deeper wound than what Jimmy has caused. Jimmy just has a bad race. Larson has a bad playoff race.
Yeah,
that's a huge difference there.
And he was already a lap down right there at that point too. So,
and then on that restart, we would see 1, 2, 3, 4 Haas. Stewart-Haas Racing would take the top 4 spots, and Team Penske would take the remaining 3 spots for them. So they would be the top 7. Fords are pretty much showing off here at Dover. Martin Truex should break that up a little bit with passing Blaney there, but they really showed their strength, even though some of them had some issues later on. But I think that's important to note for the future, especially going to Talladega next week, which Ford loves.
Yeah, they've been pretty much dominating the playoffs, and they're going to start dominating the race, so they're really showing some strength here.
We're going to have a point battle with the 9, the 12, and the 10 really close. Like 2-point, 3-point battle there. Bowyer would pass Almirola with roughly 100 to go, which would still be about 5 seconds behind Kevin Harvick. So they really needed to make a decision on who's faster, who needs to go try to hunt down Harvick. Almirola would pass Bowyer again, and Harvick would come down the pit road. Kyle Busch would be speeding on pit road, and Harvick would have some sort of issue with the jack drop, and he would have to come in, and his dominating performance would have to come to a stop at that point. And which for him, I think the pit crew is his biggest issue going into the playoffs. He's basically unbeatable, and the only person that can really beat him is himself at this point. So he just really needs to figure out the pit crew issue. That's something I think they'll work on in the future.
Yeah, the valve stem, I believe, broke off on that stop and had to come back in, and that's really done him in for his day.
But for Eric Almirola, that was a gift. It's like, wasn't going to beat him, but now since he's took himself out at that point, Almirola needs to run his race and just take it home. But caution out for Ross Chastain for a axle just exploding, flying away, and Logano got a little bit of damage from that, and almost for Ryan Blaney. So that axle alone was trying to kill Team Penske all of a sudden.
Well, I guess you can say they dodged the bullet, but it's actually the axle,
Yeah.
so to speak. But I don't think it really touched Blaney's car, but I think it hit the side of Logano's. He's like, "What was that?"
And another issue for the big three, the 78 too fast on pit road, he would have to climb his way up. So all of the big three right now are just having issues. And I think like a lot of the other contenders in the playoff, they're really hoping for stuff like this so they can get playoff points, win races, and that really happened for them today. Brad Keselowski would lead. He would take 2 tires. Logano, he had a little bit of damage from the Chastain issue. We had a long caution. Took forever to get around. I don't know if it was something on the track that they was trying to clean up or scoring issue. Just took a little longer than expected.
It must take a long time to get the axle.
It must have been still flying around the track. I don't know. Clint Bowyer would have a tire issue. He would have to come down pit road. And I believe he had contact with Newman.
I believe so. He said something about Newman was being Newman.
Newman being Newman. Then Harvick would climb his way up to 5th. And then Clint Bowyer would wreck during that caution. Which now we're like, do you pit? Do you not pit? Well, Denny Hamlin and Alex Bowman would stay out. We had a few on 2 tires. I believe Brad Keselowski took an additional 2 tires, and Eric Almirola was trying to get through them on that restart. He hit the wall, comes up and hits Brad, and we had
took half the field out.
Took a lot of playoff contenders out. Truex being one of them, and Almirola, Bowman got a little bit of Blaney there. Truex flew up into Blaney, had a little bit of damage from that. Then we would see overtime, and then Chase Elliott would beat Denny Hamlin to the line, and Chase would win his 2nd race of the season and his career.
Yeah, he come out the final restart, and I believe Eric Jones gave him a good push, and that's what helped get him in the lead. And congratulations to Chase.
So that
it actually got to pick him this
week. So we want to do something for like when we pick them right. I'm just not sure what type of celebration we should do, or what type of podcast thing we can do for events like picking the winner. But yeah, he did pick Chase Elliott to win. I picked Larson, which in practice wasn't a bad pick. It looked like I had a great pick, and then all of a sudden the race starts, and I'm like, oh well.
Yeah, some because we picked these like a week ahead of the race.
Yeah.
So that's win some, you lose some, I guess. So.
And next week we're going to Talladega, one that you thought the Roval was going to give you nightmares. Well, here's Nightmares Part 2. Mostly because you don't know if you're going to wreck or...
There was the big one to get into.
So right now, the 4 on the outside looking in, we have Alex Bowman, he basically needs a win to survive the next round, which it's totally possible at Talladega for anyone to win. I believe we add another 20 cars that have an ability to win as soon as we go to races like that. Kyle Larson, he's about 10 or 11 points behind the cutoff. That's not something too concerning for Larson, but Talladega pretty much is concerning. If he has a wreck there, issue or something, he's basically out of the playoffs and would need a win at Kansas. Same thing can be said for Bowyer and Almirola. They are also 10 points out, so they're going to need some serious stage points, which again is possible at Talladega.
Yes, Talladega is going to be the wild card. You don't really want to lose too. You want to gain as many stage points as you can, and come out with a good finish, and then go into Kansas and try to capitalize on.
And Blaney's only 10 points above, so he's going to need to just have a solid day at Talladega. Just needs to not have any sort of crashes, which Team Penske loves Talladega. I wouldn't be surprised if a Team Penske car won that race. And, Brian Blaney led the most laps in the Daytona 500, so it's possible that he could win. And we could have a Chase Blaney pattern going on here with the race wins. Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Logano, they are all pretty much safe as long as they don't have issues at Talladega or Kansas. Martin Truex, I would say, is the only fairly unsafe but still safe driver in the Big Three. He's only 32 points above, or 35, I believe, and as long as he just doesn't have issues in stage one, he should be fine. But Harvick and Busch seem to be okay with over 60 points. As long as you just go there and gain some stage points, I think they're okay.
Yeah.
So basically, go to Talladega conservative but aggressive. How do you do that?
It's controlled chaos, I guess.
Yeah. There are 5 cars in my mind that is going to be driving on rails. They're just going to be crazy out there. Number 1, Chase Elliott. He's already in. He's going to be looking for another win to increase a lead into the round of 8. And Talladega is not an easy place to get one, but it's one where you don't necessarily have to worry about the Big Three dominating, because all of that is equal now. Like, we're all bunched up. And
it's probably less pressure on Chase right now since he got the win. He's okay to the next round, but it's not time to give up any. I think that team will keep on digging.
It's #digs. And also the rest of the 4 that I think is going to be aggressive is the 4 outside of the playoffs. I think Larson's going to be aggressive, trying to get back up there. Boyer, Almirola, and Bowman, they're going to try to pull a rabbit out of the hat and get into the playoffs. And what happens when drivers drive aggressive at Talladega?
It's the big one.
The big one. So there's going to be a lot of drivers out there just driving it with all they got. We might see some drivers try to go to the back, but again, we have playoff points, stage points on the line. You want to go get those, so it kind of eliminates that. So as we move into Talladega, you can pick basically anyone. Who's your pick to claim the Talladega victory in 2018 fall race?
Well, the one I picked, I had in mind about a week or 2 ago, and he's a good plate racer, and he's got a lot to prove right now. He's got some momentum on his side, and I'm going with Team Penske driver of Ryan Blaney.
Wow. So, Ryan Blaney won the Roval. And like I said before in the podcast, he is part of that Team Penske organization that loves plate racing. So that is a very possible pick.
Yeah, he gets aggressive in the plate racing and stuff, and I think he's going to be pretty good.
Well, my pick, I basically pulled the rabbit out of the hat. This pick will either be crazy or awesome. But I'm going with the 43, Bubba Wallace.
Wow.
I want to pick a underdog, so to speak, to win a race. That would be bragging rights forever, right?
Yeah.
So
it's really not a bad pick because at Daytona he finished what? Second.
Yeah. So
he knows how to work the restrictor plates. He just have to have some good luck, and it'd be cool to see him in victory lane.
Yeah, Bubba's thinking, Blaney just won, Chase just won. I'm like the odd man out.
Hey boys, I want to try something too.
So I'm going Bubba Wallace next week. So look out for the 43 because I think he's going to want that win after seeing his best friends win. I think that's something he's going to go for.
It'd be pretty cool to see the 43 in victory lane again.
So
see how excited Bubba be.
So Bubba, if you win, Fruit basket would be nice. But yeah, that was our review of Dover. It was a fairly good race. Had some domination, had some strategy, and had some issues with some playoff drivers. So it was pretty good race. So stay tuned next week, as if you thought the Las Vegas race was crazy or the Roval was crazy, this week is going to be extra crazy.
I wonder if it's going to be real crazy or if it's going to be all on pins and needles and just
a train going
mind
on.
and manners and stuff. I don't know. It's just, it may be chaos.
Well, I think there's going to be chaos. It just depends on how much chaos there's going to be. Is it going to be a little bit of chaos, or is it going to be all hell breaks loose and some random driver wins?
Yeah, I feel the intensity is going to pick up in Talladega.
Yeah, so stay tuned. It's going to be wild, and we'll see you then.